In this video, we'll go over the Parallax partition types and the different schedules that are included in the Parallax template meant to be used with those partition types. To start, if you look under Schedules and Quantities in your project browser, you'll see that there is one schedule that lists all partition types in use in the model, and then there are several different partition type schedules which may or may not be present in your variant of the Parallax template, depending on which partition type sheet your firm has elected to use. Before we look at that, we'll go through how the partition types are structured by opening sheet A0.11 partition types. At the right of this sheet, you'll see a legend that explains how the Parallax wall tag looks and what the different letters and numbers mean in the wall type definition. The first and capital letter or letters, which there may be two present, indicate what the core or structural component is of the wall. There are then one or two lowercase letters depending on what substrate is present on either side of the wall. If there is only substrate on one side of the wall, you will only see one lowercase letter. If there is a substrate present on both sides of the partition, then you will see two lowercase letters. Finally, the last digit is a number, which is the structural size of the core that makes up the wall. All of the letters and numbers that are used throughout the wall types are consistent. For instance, the capital letters that you will see present for core types are a capital C for cast-in-place concrete, a capital G for grouted solid concrete masonry units, a capital H for hollow concrete masonry units, an M for metal stud framing including metal furring, and in some rare cases you will see two capital M's together for metal studs that are back-to-back with a prescribed air gap in between. You'll see a capital S for metal shaft wall studs. You'll see a capital T for tilt-up concrete panels, and you'll see a capital W for wood stud framing or wood furring. As you move into the lowercase substrate letters, you'll see that a similar series of consistent letters are used as well. If you see lowercase a, b, c, or d, you know that you're looking at 5/8 inch chipboard on the wall, number of layers depending on which letter you see. Basically, any wall that you see with a lowercase b, you know that at least one side of the wall has 2 layers of chipboard on that wall. If you see BB, then you know there are 2 layers of chip on both sides of that wall. E and F demonstrate 1/2 inch chipboard, which may be present on some wall types, and G indicates 1/2 inch plywood, 1 layer, which may be present. H and J are used for some combinations of plywood and gyp on each side of the wall, and M and N are used to show cement board on the wall. You'll also notice that lowercase s is for shaft liner. The intent of this system is for people working with these partitions to not have to memorize the entire partition type to understand what they are seeing when they look around rooms. For instance, when looking at partitions that are surrounding bathrooms or wet walls, we simply know that we might not want to see A, B, C's, or D's, but we might want to see M or N surrounding those bathrooms, as that means there is cement board present. Similarly, when looking at multiple framing systems in a project and wanting to verify our fire ratings, if you're looking for multiple layers of chipboard, you should understand that instead of lowercase a, perhaps you should be seeing a B or a C or a D. Having explained that, we can briefly go down to the project browser and expand the walls category and basic walls, and you'll see that a large subset of walls are present in the template already, starting with INT for interior, and you'll see all of these type names used in all of these walls shown here. You'll also notice that variants of these walls are built with the prefix EXT, which is meant for exterior use, and the INT and EXT prefixes are so that we can filter those walls out at a later date. The partition type sheets come in 2 different variations. This variation is a drafting view version of the partition types that is meant to remain static throughout the project, regardless of whether or not all of the partition types are used in the project. So if we go to the standard MAA interior metal framed partition, you'll see that it's listing all of the different sizes of MAA partitions, even though the template is empty and nothing has been modeled yet. Some firms prefer to use this drafting view version as it means consistency project to project, and they don't have to worry about editing this sheet as partition types are added and or removed. This sheet does not require any partition type schedules to be used, but the partition types all schedule will show every wall type that is used in the project as more of a quality control implementation. There is also a variation of the partition type sheet that does rely on live schedules for all of the charts for each partition type. Because we're in a blank copy of the template right now, if we open the sheet, you'll probably expect that all of the partition type drawings are present, but all of the size charts below the partition types will be blank. Here you can see what this sheet looks like when the template is first opened. You'll see that the MAA schedule is completely blank. These schedules are what you see in the project browser listed as architectural partition types C through WCC. If we flip back to the sample project that we had open a few minutes ago, you'll see that some of these schedules have started to fill themselves out because there are walls modeled in this project. For instance, the MAA schedule is now showing that MAA3 is a wall type that is included in this project. For the purposes of filling out these schedules, the other fields such as UL assembly, STC rating, and overall thickness are fields that are included in the wall types themselves. One of the advantages of using the live partition type sheet is that only partition types that are actually used in the project show up in the schedules. One of the downsides of this, of course, is that if partition types are added or deleted after your project drawings have been issued, you do now have to go back through this sheet and start clouding changes, as those partition types will have disappeared off of this sheet. The intent is, of course, that only one of these two partition type sheets exists throughout the lifespan of your projects, and that the other one is removed. If you remove the version with the live schedules, keep in mind that will mean that you don't need to keep these schedules present in the project. In this sample project where there are several wall types in use, like MAA and MBB, we can go to the partition types all schedule and see that this is just a convenient quality control mechanism where you can see all of the wall types used. If we go down to the MBB schedule, you'll see that it is filtered because it is only picking up wall types whose item type tag contains MBB. That's the basis for how these schedules work. And if you were to go into their filter, you would see that such a filter exists. Some of these schedules will have multiple filters as they are required to make sure that we don't get walls showing up in the wrong schedules. That's the brief introduction to the partition type schedules and the parallax wall types that should get you moving on your project.